So today's class has been sponsored by Shimon Grant for the Refuah Shlema of his wife Bereshit Phyllis Bat Simon, and also for the birthday of Moshe Alshech from Australia, who is one of our cornerstone supporters.
Okay, Shavua Tov, everybody. We are on page 47, on the paragraph, the top paragraph in the second column. We're in the middle of a discussion, a conversation between Hashem and Adam Arishon in gradual stages, from a disembodied voice to a calling to a conversation about where, from the Alshech HaKadash's point of view, God is trying to get Adam to understand that the only reason why he's capable of receiving God at that moment is by divine grace, and really he should understand that God is doing everything he can to limit the damage of Adam's actions and to get Adam to admit that he's in a mitigated state. But Adam seems to be eluding the point. Okay. Then the verse says, Vayomer, right, Lo Hashem, that God said back to Adam, Mi Higid Lecha ki eiro mata. Who told you that you were naked? Meaning, who told you that you were stripped from this Chalukah d'Rabbanan, this holy garment? Remember, the last thing Adam said was, it's not because he's been corrupted by the fruit and he would never entertain eating from the tree again. He's only there so that he could withstand God's voice. So because he was stripped of his buffer, of his holy garment. So God says, how did you know that you were stripped of your holiness? Hine, behold, kol chote, every sinner, mit atmot einei sichlo, the eyes of his intellect become clouded, covered over, lahakir ki erom hu me'akdusha, from being able to understand or recognize that he is bereft or naked from sanctity, from holiness. Ve'alkein, and therefore, min hatemahu, it is a wonderment. Mi higid lecha, who told you? How do you know? How are you aware that you are bereft of kedusha after having sinned? Ki ero matami malbush hakdusha, that you are naked from this holy garment. Hamin ha'etz asher tziviticha levilti, did you eat from the tree that I commanded you? Right? So we asked, why is levilti used? As opposed to, it should have said, Asher tziviticha lo le'echo. V'hine b'sum lev, if you pay attention, ki haya lo lomar, the verse should have said, Asher tziviticha lo tochal mimena, that I commanded you not to eat from it. My levilti achol mimena, that you should not eat from it. Ach yesh, I commanded you that you should not eat from it. As if, meaning, there are things you should eat and things you shouldn't eat. Ach yesh chote, because there's two kinds of sinners. There is a type of sinner, bilti doeg al avor ritzon kono. He's not concerned at all about violating the will of his creator. The yesh, and then there's a sinner, sheyitzor tokfo, that he is totally aware of his responsibility to God's will, and yet his yetzer, his inclination, is beating him. Vehu osehu belev ragas, and he does the sin with an angry heart, meaning he is not shalem with what he's doing. He is falling to his yetzarah, but he is aware at the moment that he is doing something. He's being forced to do something that he doesn't really completely want to do. Ve'omer belibo, and he says in his heart, ki achapam, just this one time, hu oseh, I'm doing it, not because it's okay, and I refuse to acknowledge the fact that it's okay, and I'm not identifying with it, but rather I'm beaten ki takafo yitzro, because my yitzhara has forced me. Ach lo yishna la'asoto od, but I would never double the action again, to do it further. Vihine, and behold, ha'ose be'ofen zeh, somebody who sins under these conditions, vadai lo yitamtem yitzro, certainly his yitzhara cannot, it will not cover him. Lo yitamtem yitzro ene sichlo, his inclination will not succeed in covering or blocking the eye of his mind, from recognizing the evil. Ki halo gam ba'avoto, even when he sins, when he perverts, hayu einav ptuchot, his eyes were open to what he was doing. Right? He never deluded himself. There was never a moment where he said, okay, I'm choosing to say that this is okay. Kol shekain, certainly achachein, so certainly after he did the sin, he's not going to think it was okay. So you have two situations here that the Alshech points out, that you have somebody who's going down the train wreck with his eyes open as it happens, and he's not identified with it. And in that way, you cannot argue that the sin will ultimately have that kind of effect that will cloud him. Whereas somebody who steps into the sin looking to choose the other way, then certainly he will be blocked from recognizing his evil. So, with that introduction, right, Vihine Chava lo shata liba. So, in Chava's case, she did not turn her heart to this fact. Ki im vatera ha'isha kitov. Rather, going in to the sin, she saw that it was good. She identified with it as something good. Vatochal, and she ate from it. Vatiten gam leisha ima, and she gave also to her man who was with her, kilomar, to say, kamoha, that she got him to be on the same level as her. Belev bilti kohev ala maisa, with a heart that was not pained by the deed. So the Alshech is noting here that whatever Adam thinks he's coming from, the truth is that he has been corrupted. Naturally, he is corrupted. Okay.
I was going to say so because his argument is that Alshech is suggesting that Adam, as opposed to Chava, only did the sin as a one-off, right?
No.
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 Oh,
No. He's proving that Adam didn't. But Adam's delusional. That's the point here. The point is that even at this great moment, this historical formative moment where you have the first sin, and then you have the immediate moment after the sin, there's a way to go about it, and then there's another failure. This seems to be the big failure. God's doing everything to say, recognize that what you did was bad, and that you've been corrupted, and now he's still being delusional.
So why is Alshech going through this two types of
He's
sinners?
about to say. He's saying, remember, the whole conversation is about Adam saying, hey, I am totally aware of what's going on, and I have not been corrupted. And God is saying, don't you realize the only reason why you're talking to me is because I am taking extra pains, and you have been corrupted.
Right.
So now part of the argument God's going to position after this introduction is what you think you're from the sinner that knew what you were doing. He's we stopped in the middle. Okay. And with this we'll come to the point. Amar, mi higid lecha. When God says, right, when the verse reports that God said, who told you? God's not being coy. Shenifkachta, that you have been. Who told you? Meaning, why are your eyes open now? What? You think you just ate from the tree? He's going to explain. Meaning, did you eat from the tree so that you should not eat from it owed again? Meaning, what? You ate from the tree like that snake told you? You think this made you even more spiritually positioned to be righteous? Meaning, was your intention so that you shouldn't eat from it, so that you should fulfill my commandment? Od, meaning you shouldn't eat from it ever again. Is that why you actually ate? You, while you ate, while you were not listening, heeding to my commandment, did you understand? Did your heart understand that you were violating my commandment as you did it? And then you could say perhaps that you have not been mitigated, you have not been corrupted, and the fact that your eyes are open is not because of me. But that's not what happened. That's where the Alshech is going with this, okay? She'im hayakach, if this was true, Adam, that you only ate, right, not to violate my commandment, but actually to fulfill my commandment, eno minatema, in that case it would not be wondrous, that your eyes are open to recognize your sin. But that's not what happened. Kilomar, as if to say, hachazek li tova, why don't you recognize that I did you a favor, that I awakened you, and I opened your eyes, that you shouldn't be lost forever. Okay.
But so are we putting Adam and Chava in the same category?
That's what he did in the top paragraph. He said, Kilomar, that is to say, Kamoha, he was like her. Belev bilti kohev, with a heart that did not pain hamaisa. Meaning he refuses to acknowledge the fact that he did go over the line and he did do something bad. And God's like, no, you did do something bad, and the only reason why we can have this conversation is because of me. Okay? Ubamasha katavnu lamala, and what we have written earlier above, ki kol iker ra'at ha'etz hahu, the essential evil that was in the tree, hu al pri hanimshach mimenu. So now we're going to say that perhaps, can we make a distinction between eating from the tree and eating the actual fruit? That's this paragraph over here. Okay? We will say, right, we've described before how the evil was embodied in the fruit. Al pri hanimshach mimenu, from the tree that grew from it. I'm sorry, from the fruit that grew from it. She'im haya osek bo be'inyan chakiro chitzoniyut. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that he would be able to engage in the tree with external analysis and experimentation. Ubilti nimshach piryo. He can engage the tree without actually being attracted to the fruit or eating from the fruit. Rak nechnas b'shalom v'yotze b'shalom. He can engage in the tree in a way that he can enter in peace and leave in peace. Ein rak okach. That wouldn't be so bad. Al kein amar Elokim. Therefore God said to him, Lo tochal mimena. Don't eat from it. Pen tavo le'achol mehapri hayotze mechakira. So you would think that God's only saying, don't eat from the tree because you may come to eating the fruit that comes from the analysis. So just want to point out here, there's a double, this is like a metaphor, because remember, we talked about engaging in the tree of knowledge of good and evil as an engagement in the world from an intellectual point of view, independent from God, and philosophically, right? And the problem over there is the problem is the intellectual exercise isn't problematic itself, but it's inevitable that it would lead you to heresy, which we will call the fruit. Okay? Va'isha Amra, and the woman said, Umipriha eitz, right, from the fruit of the tree, meaning the fruit is the problem, right? And then she said, and we shouldn't even touch it. Lomar sha'ala prihu asher amar Elokim, meaning really God was concerned with the fruit. Ki akein gamet akol asar, and that's why God really, he made everything forbidden. Im heyot she'im lo haya nidbak bo rak achilat esek ha'etz, if it was impossible to engage in the tree by eating its bark or being engaged in it without eating from the fruit, he would not have been so guilty. However, gam sachat anavim, he also pressed grapes b'chakirot eshkalot in order to analyze the what do you call a group of, a cluster? In order to analyze the clusters, he squeezed the grapes, mirorot lishtotam, to see if they were too bitter to drink. Adam Ramzal, to the point where Chazal said about Adam, shena'asamin, that he became a heretic, meaning he ate from the fruit. Shehu apri. Al-Kain, therefore, Amar lo, basically it's like this. God saying, what, you think you only engaged in the tree in a way that you could be spared of its ultimate evil? What, you think you can engage in the tree without eating the fruit? Al-Kain Amar lo, therefore he said, Mi higid lecha, who told you ke'ero mata, that you are naked? Shezachita miyad lahakir chesroncha, that you were immediately able to recognize that you were lacking. Masha'en kein der chataim, as opposed to the regular sinners. What, you only ate from the tree itself that I commanded you, lo tochal, not to eat? Mimeno achalta, from the actual tree you ate, bilvad velo mipiryo, and not from its fruit? Shem kacha, God says, okay, that's another possibility. If that's true, eino mehatema, that's not at all wondrous, shalotit atem, that you should not be covered up. Levilti hakir ki eromata, that you shouldn't recognize that you are naked. Kolomar, as if to say, ach lo cheinhu, we know that's not true. Ki apriya chalta, we know you ate from the fruit itself. Meaning, if you only would have eaten from the tree successfully without eating from the fruit, okay, then you'd have an argument. But you ate from the fruit too. How do you think you could be spared from the evil of the sin, and you have eaten from the fruit? Ka'amro, when he says about, when the verse says about Adam, vatikach mipiryo, when it says about Chava, that she took from its fruit, vatiten gam leisha, and she gave also to her man. Kilomar, as if to say, ach, hachazik li tova, why don't you recognize that I'm doing you a favor, Adam? She'im shehi chastani, even though you have angered me. Natati b'chadeya, I've placed within you consciousness, lifkoach einecha, to open your eyes, lahakir pigimatcha, to recognize your blemish. Nimtza, it turns out, shayiti kemagid lecha, it's me who has told you, informed you, ki eromata, that you are bereft of this beged of Chalukah derabanan, this holy garment. V'shir hakatuv, and the pasuk sized it up by saying, Mi higid lecha, who told you, im lo ani Hashem, if it was not me Hashem. Ki lo lekalut ha'avon hikarta, it's not because your sin was so light that you were able to recognize yourself. Ki ha'im achalta min ha'etz, because you ate from the tree. Be'ofen shelo ha'ita kavad avon, what, you ate from the tree in a way that you are not heavy with sin? Okay, so it's just further fleshing out this conversation. Veheshiv, so what did Adam reply? Ve'amar, he said, Ein ashmati kol kach gedola levilti yipakchu einai lahakir berati. Please God, my sin, my guilt is not so great that I wouldn't be able to understand myself, that my eyes themselves would not be able to open up to my evil. Kihine ha'isha asher natati imadi, the woman that you have placed to be beside me, hi natna li, she's the one that gave it to me. Lomar, that is to say, Kihine ata amarta, God, you said, lo tov heyot adam levado, man without woman is in a state of lo tov, of not good. Al-Kain, therefore, Amarti, I said to myself, once you presented me with my wife, Ki mima shenatata li tov, obviously, you giving her to me is my ticket to tov. Lo yu'na li ra, no bad will happen to me through her. V'zehu amro, and that's what he's saying in the verse, Ha'isha shenatati imadi. God, he's saying, don't tell me what I did is so bad. I'm following your instruction. You told me that my being away from the woman is ra. Being with the woman is tov. So all I did was maintain my connection to the woman, and I did what she offered me, and no bad could come to me from my wife. You gave her to me. Meaning, the Alshech HaKadosh is flipping on its head how we would have read it initially. He asked, what is Adam thinking? Saying, hey God, it's because of the woman. It's all your fault. He's saying, no. Adam was saying, don't tell me it was so bad. It happened through my wife. That's a good thing, right? B'Shem Tomar, perhaps you will say, yeah, but I told you not to eat. Hine amarti ki esh chiluk badavar. Yeah, but I told myself, well, there's a difference. Ki hine amarta, you also told me, lo tochal mimeno, you shouldn't eat from it. Ki biyom achalcha mimeno, because on the day you eat from it, you will die. Velama amarta mimenu, from it. Ze pa'amayim, you said mimenu. That's a lot of extra words. So I understood what you didn't want me to do was to take from the tree. It's myself. Meaning you told me not to take from the tree. But if I didn't take from the tree, my wife took from the tree. All I did was eat it. I never took from the tree. She's the one that gave it to me, from the tree. Personally, I never took it.
So it's like the the twice removed from the thing.
You mean a shvus to shvus?
Yeah.
That's when it's a derabana. Okay, but last time we read this, you said he should have been a lawyer. But the point is to appreciate that it sounds like he's a lawyer, but that's just the Yetzer Hara inside of him, just talking. He is so delusional, he has no idea what's happening. And it's really a tragedy. God's like knocking on the door on his forehead, and he can't put the pieces together. Okay. Oh, Yomar. Alternatively, we can understand this statement that it was the woman, right, as follows. Hine ba'alila ba'atai alai. So Adam says, come on, God. This was all a plot. Hine ba'alila, you've come to me with intrigue, with a plot. Ba'ata'ala, you've come to me. Meaning, this is a setup. Ki im lo hayiti mizuman lachet v'lamut. If you have not set me aside already, created me with the intention to set me aside for sinning and ultimately death, lama natati isha imadi. Why did you place a woman beside me? Im lo leholid v'liot kiyum b'min bilvad v'lo ba'ish. You're already setting up that there should be provision for a continuity of the species, and not just through me. Meaning, it's clear I'm mortal and I was born with an expiration date. Otherwise, why would I need a woman here? We could have had this whole humanity thing between you and me. V'zeu amro, and this is what the verse says, Asher natati imati, until you place to be beside me. Ki al-ke, and therefore nitgalgel hadavar, that's how this thing came. Nitgalgel means to roll in. It means this is what caused the events to transpire. Al yada, through her. Ki hi natna li min ha'etz v'ochal. She's the one that gave me from the tree and I ate. Meaning, this was all set up. It was specifically through the woman, meaning it was clear to me that you had wanted me to eat, and you had wanted me to die from the fact that you gave me a woman. And that's why I took it from her. V'ledata omer, and according to the opinion, shahayat chila du partzufin, that described initially Adam and Chava being joined at the back, v'hifrid hu yitbarach, and God had separated them. Yomar, we can understand this as follows. Chaval al ha'isha asher natati imadi. Chaval, for taking the woman and placing her beside me, meaning separating her from my back, that she should be next to me. Nifredet, separated matzmotai from my bones, guf echad, from being one body. Ki hina hi natna li min ha'etz, she's the one that gave me from the tree. Ma she'en ken, as opposed to, im haita dvuka bi, if she was still attached to me, lo haita hi mitpatet me'hanachash biota hi mi. She would never have been seduced by the snake while she was with me. Ki Moshe Amruzal, like Chazal had said, Adam hechan halach, where was Adam when the snake was talking to Chava? Halach ba'aretz, he went around to explore the earth. Ligzar, to decree, Yishuv ha'mekomot haruyim, the places, the locations in the world that would be worthy of habitation. Kemadat Amar, like the verse says in Yirmiyahu, Lo avar ba'ish, that no man passed over, v'lo yashav Adam sham, and Adam Harishon never lived there. Okay, so we had explained there's a Gemara in Brachot that points out that this verse says to talk about a particular place in the earth that's totally it's not a worthy habitat for humans. So the verse says that a human never went through, never passed through, and Adam never settled there. So the Gemara asked if the verse could have just said Adam never settled there, and we would know that nobody passed through. Meaning, if Adam never settled there, right? So what if a person never settled there? Meaning, if a person never passed through, of course we know that nobody ever settled there. Why does it have to say that Adam never settled there if a person, right? We understand the verse Adam doesn't necessarily isn't a reference to Adam Rishon at that point. But the Gemara says what happened is that any place historically that humans ever settle in it, it's only because Adam decreed that it should be worthy habitat. So Adam basically decreed on every place that historically humans would ever live there, he made that worthy for habitation, and therefore that's where he was. Chazal say when this whole conversation between the snake and Chava was going on, Shem haya guf echad, if there was still one body, hayta holachet ima, she'd have to go with him on his business trips. Ki lo pita ota rak ki matzah yechida. The snake was only able to seduce her because she was found to be alone. V'hi kala li'patot, and it is her nature that it is easy to be seduced. Okay. O Yomar, alternatively, one can understand, b'masha katavnu lamala, regarding what we wrote above, b'ma'amaram zal, with the statement from our sages, shehitchila miyalelet alav, that she began to scream at him and have a tantrum and raise her voice. Kihi asta kidei shelo yitpardu. She was acting this way in order that Adam should not separate from her. Kevan shehi bat zugo, because she is his soulmate. V'nafshotam achuzot zo bezo, and their nefesh was designed to be entwined, this one with that one. V'ech tamut hi v'lo yitchabru od. How could she die and they will never be able to connect again? Ki hu yishaer chai lo'olam, because he will remain mortal in a state that she cannot be with him. V'katavnu, and we wrote, shezeu amro, that's what the verse is addressing when it says gam li isha ima. It says that Chava fed also to the man who was with him. And we said, why does it have to say with her? Right? In order that he should remain with her. Because that was the content of her tantrum when she was raising her voice at him. And that's what is stated over here. The woman that you have given me, lihiyot imadi, to be beside me, tamid, forever, meaning in order, out of consideration that we should constantly be connected. He natnali, she gave to me, she'asta lisheyitkayem zivugenu shenatata yadecha. She gave me in order that we can keep this union that you have placed through you, this union that you have given for her and me to be together. We wanted to maintain that, and that's why she gave it to me. V'zeh amro imadi, and that's why the verse states, with me. Ki lihiyot imadi, in order that you should be beside me. Ka amro, when the verse says ima, with her, niya hadavar. That's how that thing happened, out of consideration that we should stay continuously together. Okay, and there you have, that's the explanation of Adam's explanation, or defense, etc. Okay.